I want to talk about the crisis, the financial crisis that's going on in Puerto Rico. We've all heard about the current situation that Puerto Rico finds itself, and they are suffering. They're having trouble paying their bills, and their economy is in shambles. And some people have the attitude, well, that's not our problem. But they're forgetting the fact that Puerto Rico is part of the United States. It's a territory. It is not a foreign country. Puerto Ricans are American citizens. If a problem exists in Puerto Rico, it exists in the United States. It isn't something that we can just ignore, and it impacts the entire country. If the economy continues to suffer in Puerto Rico, the people there will just move to another part of the country. I want to repeat that. If things are bad in Puerto Rico economically, Puerto Ricans, can move to another part of the country. This is not immigration. This is a move to the mainland, and many Puerto Ricans are leaving Puerto Rico because of its troubles. Now, happily, many of the people that live on the island are moving to Florida. They're adding to the diversity and immense fabric of Florida that reflects the entire country. But our gain in Florida is Puerto Rico's loss. There are more than 1 million people in Florida alone that may have preferred to stay at home on the island with their friends and their family. People who otherwise would be opening small businesses or new doctor's offices in San Juan are opening them in Orlando. This only hurts Puerto Rico's economic future. We need to give Puerto Rico the tools it needs to get its economy back on track. Puerto Rico cannot do that alone. Congress needs to pitch in. And so I've joined a number of our colleagues, Blumenthal, Schumer, Menendez, in being a sponsor of the Puerto Rico Chapter 9 Uniformity Act. It fixes a glitch in the federal bankruptcy law that stops Puerto Rico's municipalities and public corporations from restructuring their debt through federal bankruptcy court, something that is law in all the states. That's why we have a bankruptcy law. But there is a glitch that you cannot do that in Puerto Rico. Well, that's just simply unfair. The people of Puerto Rico should get equal protection under the law. Both the Finance Committee and the Energy and Natural Resources Committees have held hearings in the past few weeks about the economic crisis in Puerto Rico. 2 of Puerto Rico's elected officials, Governor Garcia Padilla and Congressman Perry Luisi, have testified at these hearings, and both said the Puerto Rican public corporations need access to Chapter 9 debt restructuring. It's this senator's strong desire that we see them treated equally under the law, and that this legislation to fix this glitch comes to the floor soon. We also need to help Puerto Rico's healthcare system. The Medicaid program in Puerto Rico, it serves nearly 1.7 million residents, and it's in terrible shape. In 2010, Congress passed the Affordable Care Act, which provided Puerto Rico with a $5.4 billion one-time payment to cover health care costs. That money is set to expire in 2019, but it could even run out sooner. And under Medicare Part D, Puerto Rican residents are being treated like second-class citizens. They don't get the same financial support that state residents get for the prescription drug coverage. And this all has an effect on their economy, stifling their ability to emerge from the crisis, not to speak of that they're not getting the health care that other American citizens have. I remind you, Puerto Ricans are American citizens. And so this kind of treatment under Medicare flies in the face of the most basic American value, equality. That's why several of us have joined Senator Schumer's on a bill to improve the way Puerto Rico is treated under Medicare and Medicaid. Last week, thankfully, the White House has released a set of legislative proposals to help Puerto Rico. Included in that list were some of the bills that I have mentioned here that I support. And I urge our colleagues to give this problem the attention it demands. We should move the proposals that we can move in this legislative body, and we should do it with haste. There are more than 3.5 million people in Puerto Rico. They are U.S. citizens who, unlike most U.S. citizens, have no one to represent them in this chamber and only have a non-voting delegate in the House of Representatives. They have no voice here, but even with no voice, there are some of us in this chamber to make sure that their voice is heard. We cannot turn our backs on fellow Americans. By the way, when it comes time to defending this country in our national security, look at the percentage of Puerto Ricans that sign up for the military. They are fellow Americans. And I ask my colleagues to look deep in their hearts and find a way to come together to help the island of Puerto Rico, a territory, our fellow American citizens, to get through this troubled time. Mr. President, I yield the floor.